course, I'm talking about a former presidential candidate, now Democrat, and former Congressman Joe Walsh joining us right now on the show. Joe, it's good to see you. How are you?
Brian, it's always good to see your handsome mug, man.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate that. So I was watching your podcast earlier today. You talked about a number of different issues. Let's start here with Cory Booker, because you know Cory Booker. He refused to endorse this guy, Mandoni, in New York, and you talked about this a little bit. Why do they always continue to dodge, endorsing this guy? Do they feel like he's too controversial?
I do know Cory Booker pretty well, Brian. Look, I've been a Democrat now for 9 weeks, and I knew this before I became a Democrat, but I know it now even more. Democratic politicians are so damn afraid of everything. They're afraid to offend. They're afraid to piss people off. They're afraid of their shadow. Enough of that. When I became a Democrat, Brian, I made a big bet that most Democrats believed we needed a big tent, right, to defeat fascism, which is here. A tent big enough for Mamdani and Joe Walsh. So Mamdani won in New York City. I'm a Democrat now. He's more progressive than I am, but screw that. He's my nominee. Of course I'm going to endorse him. For the life of me, I don't know why Democrats are afraid, all of Democrats, to just say the same thing.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And you talked a little bit today on your pod about the trans issue. And this is something else that frustrates me. I know this is not a top 5 issue. I know this is not a top 10 issue. And I also know that many MAGA Republicans wish trans people didn't exist, which is deplorable. It's despicable. But why is it so hard for somebody on the left just to say, hey, you know what? Maybe men that are trans women that are competing with other women, maybe we shouldn't do that. Why is it so hard for so many Democrats to say that?
I actually disagree with you, Brian. I think these culture war issues that the right lives off of, and I used to do a lot of that, I think these are big issues. I think they symbolize a lot to regular Americans. Fairness and just a way of life and blah, 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 whatever. You and I can discuss them. But there's only one side that fights on these culture war issues, and that's the Republicans. That's the right. You and I know Trump spent $200 million in Pennsylvania talking about transgender Americans, and the Kamala Harris campaign didn't even respond. I guess my point is, as a new Democrat, fight on this turf. Most Americans agree with you on the transgender issue. What you just said there, Brian, hey, we love and embrace our transgender brothers and sisters. They should have every right under the sun. When it comes to athletics, athletic fairness needs to rule the day. That's all. That's where 90% of Americans are there. Yet even most Democratic politicians are afraid to say that.
Yeah, you're completely right. Let's move on to Donald Trump here. As you pointed out on social media, he does this CNBC interview today that was completely off the walls. Says he won the 2020 election. Says his approval rating is at 71%. It's not even close to that. And then he talks about these job numbers. And I wanted to get to you about these job numbers in this report. But as a whole, what do you make of this off the rails crazy interview he did with CNBC earlier today?
This is what pissed me off, Brian. It's nothing to laugh about. Like he had that wackadoodle interview on CNBC this morning, and everybody on social media just laughs at it and makes fun of him. Oh, I caught my language. Screw that. It's not funny. And even what's his name, Brian? Joe Kernan, whoever the CNBC host is, who's the Trump-friendly host. I didn't like the fact that he was chuckling. 5 years later, the president of the United States said that he won the 2020 election, and you're the CNBC host, and you laugh at that? Screw you.
Yeah, he's a right-wing hack.
Yeah, this stuff isn't funny. This man is dangerous. He's utterly untethered to reality. That's not anything to laugh at.
Completely agree with you. So this jobs number report comes out. And obviously, it's not a very good report. And it's the worst report, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, that we've had in 5 years since December of 2020, Trump's last month in office. And then immediately, Donald Trump starts attacking the person who is the head of this, who put this whole thing together, gets fired, says it was rigged, blames everybody else but himself. Your thoughts on this?
Bri, this is a familiar theme of mine. Trump has succeeded because we've normalized him. Like, right, every day he does and says 1,000 horrible, cruel, ignorant, authoritarian, corrupt, lawless things. And after years of that, Bri, we just all yawn and say Trump. That's just Trump. So he fires the head statistician because he didn't like the weak jobs report.
Yeah.
That should be like alarm bell stuff. And Brian, I go on CNN and MSNBC a lot still. I get pissed off at the media. Trump tells a lie, and it's not even a story anymore. We've normalized him. What he did last week should not be normalized. It should not happen in a democracy.
Yeah, I agree.
We need to be. I know a lot of people say to me every day, I don't know about you, Brian, Joe, I love you, but you're outraged every day. I'm sorry. We should effing be outraged every day.
Agree. Here is a topic that we might disagree on, which is the Israel-Palestinian conflict. This might surprise you a little bit, Joe, but I'm starting to lean towards Mehdi Hassan. And by the way, I loved that debate that you guys had. I thought he was a little bit unfair with you. With that being said, I see all these people that are starving in Gaza. I'm not putting it all on Israel. I'm not putting it all on Benjamin Netanyahu, but I do believe Benjamin Netanyahu has committed war crimes. I see thousands of people that are starving, that are dying of starvation, including children. And I'm saying to myself, Israel is not doing everything they need to do for the least amount of casualties. And I do believe that Benjamin Netanyahu is partially responsible for that. Tell me why you think I'm wrong.
Well, I don't know that you're wrong in what you just said. Look, it's a war, a 22-month war. In wars, both sides commit war crimes, period. The difference here is, and you may disagree with this, Brian, both sides have committed war crimes and members of the IDF have done horrible stuff. And Benjamin Netanyahu is a crook and I can't stand him anymore. But Israel, they're the good guys. Hamas, they're the bad guys. I think we always need to remember that, right? Like there is a difference. Israel has committed war crimes. Hamas's entire operation is a war crime. Yes, so Hamas won't do anything about the starvation. Hamas wants the starvation of its own people. Israel then, unfortunately, they got to lead it and with the rest of the free world and do something about this starvation because they haven't done a good enough job.
Is the Israeli government really the good guys when they've done nothing but give us faulty intelligence when it came to weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, when it comes to Iran and their nuclear capabilities? I'm not talking about the Israeli people. I agree with you there. The Israeli government and people like Benjamin Netanyahu, are they really the good guys? I agree with everything you just said about Hamas. They are a terrorist organization. They butcher and murder people, and they want to eliminate every single Jewish person on the planet. So I agree with you when it comes to Hamas. But is the Israeli government really the good guys? They're certainly not doing everything they can do to help this situation in Gaza with our children that are dying of starvation, which I think you would agree with me is deplorable. Is the Israeli government really, quote, the good guys?
Yeah, and I'll answer that with another question, Brian. I'm super pro-Israel.
Yep.
Do you see a difference, as much as you may not like the Israeli government and clearly Netanyahu, do you see a difference between the Israeli government and Hamas, which is the government of Gaza?
I do. Yes, I do.
Okay, so there is a difference. So if you tell me that Israel's government isn't good because they've made mistakes and they haven't been honest and they've committed individual acts of war crimes or whatever, well, then I'd say America's government isn't good either, because in every war we've been in, we've lied, we've committed war crimes, we've done bad things. That's just part and parcel of a war. I guess what I'd say is Israel, like America, even our governments, we're democracies and we generally try to do the best, even though we do bad things and make mistakes. That's worlds difference from a terrorist organization that's a government.
I agree. Hamas is a terrorist organization. All they want is to kill as many innocent Jews as possible. I agree with you. I don't think Israel wants to do that. I don't think the government wants to do that. But the issue that I have is I don't think it's a mistake when you allow thousands of innocent people to die of starvation, including children. And I personally do not believe that Benjamin Netanyahu and that government is doing everything they can. I believe it's actually the opposite of that. I don't think they care. And I wouldn't, I guess this is where we disagree. I don't consider that a mistake. I consider that war crimes.
You mentioned a moment ago that Hamas doesn't give a damn about Israeli civilians. True.
Mm-hmm.
What makes this so different, though, Bri, is Hamas historically, right, doesn't give a damn about their own civilians. That's what makes this so weirdly dangerous. I will acknowledge to you that in the last few months, I think Netanyahu and the far right's coalition in the government, they've changed focus and they've now said to hell with it. And there are even talks now, Brian, that they are going to just occupy Gaza, which you may find abhorrent. I will just say this, and we can talk about this later. Israel never should have left Gaza. Gaza was a beautiful place in 2005 when Israel left, and then it became a terrorist camp. I don't think Israel ever should have left. I don't know what the answer is now, though.
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation. So you're on all these CNN panels, and always I talking about tariffs, right? You see different people that agree and disagree. Kevin O'Leary is one of those people that I disagree on just about everything. You guys could have a good debate on this, but what do you make of the fact that the Trump administration seems to be bragging of all this money that the government is making, yet many of these people don't explain to the MAGA cult where the money is coming from, which is the American consumer, as you know?
So my friend, that I come from MAGA and I still engage with MAGA every day. And I'll tell you, I say what you just said every day. We pay for the tariffs. Foreign governments don't pay a dime. The tariff gets charged when the product comes here and the importer pays for it. Foreign governments never pay for this. About half of Trump's base kind of gets that. With Brian, which is why I really do think this tariff issue, along with the cruel deportations, are going to hurt Trump and Republicans next year, because it's going to impact the economy. Trump will try to lie about the economy, but you and I and everybody we know, we live the economy every day. So I don't think he's going to be able to lie about it. Last thing, Brian, it bothers the hell out of me when I go on CNN and I'm with Scott Jennings or O'Leary or any of these guys, and they just spout out stuff, watch my language, that they know is wrong, to purposely misinform Trump's base. I find that so effing despicable.
I don't know how you do it, Joe. I don't know how you sit across or sit next to those that you just mentioned, O'Leary and Jennings. I just want to punch the TV every single time they open their mouths. But Joe, you are the best, my friend. Love the podcast. Keep up the great work. Keep fighting, and we'll talk to you soon. And if I don't talk to you, have a wonderful rest of your week, and always appreciate the time, my friend. Love you, Joe.
Thanks, Brian. Love you back.